Hey folks, and welcome back to West Yorkshire Retro Gamer. We have only got a couple of days left, or not even a couple of days now, it's probably like a day left to get some new players in. And we've made a few, and as you can clearly see on this lineup, there's no Mecha and no Calvert-Lewin, and that's because I believe they've been brought in to replace Bamford and either or of Gellert or Greenwood. So, what are we looking at here? Lucas Perry we've already signed for approximately £15 million. James Justin has come in for around £8 million. Seb Bornow has come in for about £5 million. Jacoby Hall has come in for about 16 million. Gabriel Gudmundsson about 11. Anton Stark about 17. Sean Longstaff about 12 million. Noah Okafor roughly 19 million pounds. His fee was kind of advertised as a rough figure in euros, so I've kind of calculated it to pounds as far as I can. So those boys are all in. So in terms of filling the three gaps, the right wing, a possible 10 or attacking mid, or someone that can, be part of that three-man midfield that would be given an artistic license to push up a bit, with the other two kind of marshalling the midfield and protecting the back four, and then the number 9 striker. The guy that's going to bag the goals. So, I've had a look at some possible options here. Now, in recent videos that I've done where I've done these possible lineups, I've actually gone for Nico Gonzalez. But I just wonder if he might be a little bit too much of a stretch, too difficult to get. So I've then turned my attentions to Riccardo Orsolini. He got himself 15 goals in 30 appearances for Bologna in Serie A last season. He's 28-year-old. He's another one of these players that's over 180 or over 1.8 metres or over 6 foot, whatever you want to call it. And the difference between Orsolini and Gonzalez is that Orsolini doesn't play for one of the big boys in Italy. He plays for Bologna, who are kind of like a mid-table team. If he can get stats like that for a mid-table team in Serie A, it could be a good shout. He's 28-year-old, so he's kind of at the top end of the age spectrum that the 49ers have been looking at. But I just think he could do a job, provide that final bit of competition on the wings. I'll come on to the midfielder guy last. He's new to me at least, so I'll come on to him last. Demirovic, he, along with Dovbyk, was one of a couple of strikers that was kind of seen as an option, and he got a combined 17 GNA in 34 appearances last season in the Bundesliga, I think, if I remember right. Guy's pretty good, and according to Transfermarkt he would be a cheaper option than Dovbyk. The only issues with trying to get someone like Demirovic or Dovbyk is that these boys are going to be in some kind of European competition. Whether it be Champions League, Europa League or Conference League. And it's very difficult to get players who have the opportunity to go and play in those competitions. But I've opted for Demirovic on this one just instead of Dovbyk on the basis that I think that Demirovic would be slightly easier to get. Not by much, I think there'd still have to be a fair whack of change thrown at it. And even then you've got to persuade the player. There is the pull of the Premier League. So yeah, I don't know. But, you know, times are crucial now, and with us not really knowing how effective Lucas Mecha and Dominic Calvert-Lewin are going to be in terms of just purely scoring goals, the two of them have looked quite good, you know, from open play. But, you know, neither of them look like a prolific goal scorer at this moment in time. And the one thing that we are seriously lacking is goals being scored and even chances being created. We're lacking in both departments. So Demirovic could possibly be the goal scorer. Who could be the provider? Someone that could maybe grab some assists and someone that can fill a few positions and you know, maybe make some kind of an impact here. Well, I've decided to go and raid Bologna again, so that Bologna wouldn't be right happy with me because I'm already including Orsolini. Well, how about his midfield partner, a Danish fella who goes by the name of Jens Odgaard. Not to be confused with Martin Odegaard, which is spelled slightly differently. But what can I tell you about Jens Odgaard? He's 26-year-old, so definitely fits the age bracket that the 49ers have been looking at. He's 188, 1.88 metres tall. He's a big boy. He's almost up at the 190 mark, which is just, you know, crazy tall. But it's certainly tall enough, it's certainly over 6 foot. I'm 170, which equates to 5'7". So if this guy's not over 6 foot, then there's a serious issue in terms of numbers here. He's got 2 goals in 5 appearances for, I think it's the Danish. I think he's got that for the Danish under-21s team. I don't think he's got that for the senior Danish team. Now, Transfermarkt has him billed at around €12 million, and that was only updated in June this year. Now, he's played 2 games for Bologna this season, hasn't got any goals or assists yet. And to be fair to him, he's not even starting every game, so they don't see him really, certainly at the moment, they don't see him as a regular starter for some reason. And again, it's only 2 games. He joined Bologna on 1st of July last year, and his contract expires on 30th of June 27. So he's got a couple of years left on his contract, and I know that Leeds have been looking at players that have only got 1 year left, but 2 years left, it's like, you know, I think you can still work with that. Yeah, so national team career, he got his 2 goals in 5 games for Denmark under 21 back in 2019. So €12 million, you're looking at around £10 million. For an attacking midfielder, that is peanuts. He's been around the block a little bit. He's had a lot of moves actually. So in terms of his overall history, I'll just see if I can bring this up in its entirety, because he's had a lot of moves. Let's click on full stats, that might do it. What's this doing now? Oh, stats by club here. So in his career, he's played 71 times for AZ Alkmaar in the Eredivisie. He's played 49 times for Bologna in the Serie A in Italy. 33 times for Waalwijk in I think RKC, that's another Dutch team, I think. Either Dutch or Belgian. 27 times for Heerenveen. There's a few under 21 and under 19 teams going on in there. He's actually been part of the under 19s team for Inter Milan, believe it or not. 19 games for Pescara, that could be Serie A or Serie B. That might have been a loan actually, by the looks of things. Possibly. And he's even had a short stint playing in the Swiss League for Lugano as well. Got 6 games there. He's been on the books at Sassuolo in Italy as well. So he's been at a lot of clubs for a guy that's still only 26. But just in terms of getting someone in that's going to provide something a little bit different to the type of midfielder that we've got. I mean, in terms of his overall balance for his career, I mean, I can bring this up. So in the Eredivisie alone, he's got this isn't too bad for a midfielder. 25 goals and 13 assists in 100 appearances. So what's that? 38 goal involvements. So that's over 1 in 3 in Eredivisie. That's not terrible. In Serie A, he's got 11 GNA in 42. That's a little bit weak, but you can argue that Serie A is a slightly, it's a tougher league to score, because Serie A does tend to be more defensive than the Eredivisie. So he's actually played 15 games in the Conference League. So, and he's even got five appearances in Champions League before now. So he's got quite a history about him. And in terms of absolute totals, he's got 68 goals and 30 assists in 277 appearances. So, he's just shy of 100 in comfortably under 300. And that's across everything. So I just wonder if the club could take a punt on this fella. Even if you buy him, and he's there to compete to be kind of the front pivot of front of the triangle, if you like, of 3 midfielders. The guy that can support the front striker, from a 4-3-3 formation. I know I've put this in 4-5-1, but it's practically the same. So yeah, here's my take on this, right? Leeds need to spend some money to get everything over the line here, and you've got, with these 3 potential additions, you've got Odegaard valued at €12 million. So, you know what? And these are only market values. So I mean, you know what clubs are like. Well, let me just see if I can get a euro to pound converter. Right, here we go. Right, so Odgaard's market value is €12 million. So works out at £10.39 million. Alright. If I then go on to Orsolini, so Riccardo Orsolini, he's valued at 25 million. So that would be 37 million euro. So 37 million euro would work out at 32.03 million pounds. Bearing in mind we've spent about 103 so far. Right. So Demirovic. I can never. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Demirovic. These names are so bloody stupid. Oh, that's where I've gone wrong. Yeah, fine. That was a typo. Right, here he is. Ermedin Demirovic. And he's valued at 22 million euro. So, another 22 on top of that. So on top of 37, so 59. So another 59 million euros would work out at 51.07 million pounds. And if we have roughly spent 103, so you're looking at, so that'd be 153. So pound sterling, 153 million works out at 176.75 million euros. I think that brings us roughly within PSR. Even if we went an extra £1 million more, so that brings it up to 177.9 million euros. Even if we ended up spending 180 million euros, comes to 155.82 million pound. I just think that we would be within. I just think we'd be within the financial constraints with that, Something's just telling me that we'd be alright with that. So effectively this lineup that I've put on here now financially could be possible. But we'd have to work quickly with Bologna and nick two of their players. To get two players from the same club, I think Bologna would just laugh at you. If the money's right, though. Because bearing in mind, this is market value. Bologna could say, well, you can have them, but you're going to pay more than their market value. But here's the flip side, and this is where you could target someone like Bologna. There's not a lot of money in Italy right now in terms of football transfers. Apparently there is not a lot of money being banded around in Italy. So for a club like Bologna, you make those two big sales, I don't know. From a Leeds perspective, it would be useful because obviously Orsolini and Odgaard are going to know each other's game. And then they've just got to adapt their own skills to Daniel Farke's tactics. I don't know, I think this could be what this could complete the Leeds squad. And then in terms of player registration, You have to start juggling things around a little bit. You know, do we need both Darlow and Cairns as backup goalkeepers? This might come across as weird, but I would actually stick with Cairns and ditch Darlow, if I'm honest. Let Darlow get a championship move on loan, if you like. Let him play some first team games, and then we've got Rory Mahadi as the third choice goalkeeper at that point, with Alex Cairns as backup. Works for me. You know, we've brought Lucas Perry in to be the first choice goalkeeper. Does Carl Darlow really want to be the backup? You know, at his age, he really should be looking for first team football. Alex Cairns, you can just tell he loves being at Leeds. Like he's a good character in the dressing room. So for me, if it were me, honestly, I'd ditch Darlow. You've then got the issue of two of the backup. Well, there's seemingly backup players at the moment, but you've got Harrison and Aronson. Don't get me started on the similar name situation there. Harrison's looked quite good. He's still got that very good ball control, that technique. He just needs to absolutely massively tighten up on the accuracy of his crossing. And his set pieces. And then it's difficult with Aronson. I don't know. Like with Aronson, do you try and get him a loan move? Because no one's going to buy him for 20 million quid. Not a chance. Absolutely no chance does anyone buy Brendan Aronson for 20 million quid. Leeds ultimately are going to make a loss on Aronson if they sell him now. Guaranteed. No one's going to pay over 20 million quid for him. So the best you can hope for with Aronson is sending him out on loan again. You know, maybe to a top end championship team. I don't know. Difficult one, that. Because I mean, whichever way you look at this, Leeds, if Leeds are going to bring in 3 more new players, you've got this 11. Players have got to go, right? Because you've got Metcher and Calvert-Lewin. I think Pirro's out the door. I honestly at this stage think that Pirro, for the system that Leeds are playing, is just not. It's not going to suit him. He's a proven striker at championship level. He's a 1 in 2 goal scorer. That's fact. For 2 different clubs, he did it at Swansea. He got 44 goals in 88 games, and then for Leeds, whatever he got for Leeds. But he got a good chunk. He got a good chunk of goals at Leeds. I haven't done the maths with Joel Pirro. But if we get a Demirovic or a Dovbyk or some other striker that we actually pay money for as a transfer fee, that shoves Pirro down to 4th choice striker. He ain't gonna hang around for that. Why should he? At the age he's at, that wouldn't make any sense, would it? I mean, if we end up with a midfielder and a winger, we might not end up with another striker on the basis that we've got Metcher and we've got DCL, and then they might decide to keep Pirro, just on the basis that they would need a 3rd striker in the squad. It's not the right season for Harry Gray. He needs to develop in the under 21s. I've seen a couple of fans say, "Oh, play Harry Gray." He ain't ready. He's not ready. It's that simple. I've seen him. I watched him. I went. My friend took me to Turf Moor to watch the under-21s match. That's his level at the moment, and he's doing very well. Don't get me wrong. He got a goal and an assist in that game. But we're talking the Premier League. Harry Gray ain't ready yet. His brother probably went to Spurs prematurely, and that was only done because Leeds needed the cash. So, there needs to be a bit of a dulling down on the Harry Gray situation. Farke has already said that people need to kind of stop talking about Harry Gray for now. And that's fine. That's not an issue for me. So, in terms of players out, you're probably looking at either Harrison or Aronson going. Just because there's not really going to be space for him if we get another winger in. And the advantage of Harrison is that he can deputise at fullback, kind of. I don't see Aronson ever deputising as a, as a right fullback. Nah, not even as a right wing back. It won't work. I know he tracks back and everything, but this might come as a bit of a shocker. I actually think that Harrison provides more than Aronson at the moment. The one thing Harrison does is he works hard, right? He runs his little socks off. There's certainly not a lack of effort from Brendan Aronson. This isn't a personal dig at Brendan Aronson. It's the fact that we can only have 25 players in the squad. So I think there's got to be a couple of outgoings. I mean, JB, central midfielder. I mean, he's not going to be anywhere near the damn picture. I'm amazed he hasn't gotten himself a loan move yet. I mean, to be honest, we could maybe even look to sell JB. But again, I don't think we'd get more than the 5 million that we bought him for. So I think probably another loan move for JB, but maybe top half championship instead of bottom half, perhaps, if anyone would be willing to take him on. But yeah, there's some players that are going to have to leave because we're only going to have 25. Like if we had 11 bought new players like this lineup here, you've got that. Then you've got most of the starting 11 from last season. I mean, Meslier, that's another one. Meslier is going to have to look to go because he ain't going to get a look in, not a chance. So you've got the possibility of Meslier, either Keynes or Darlow. I mean, honestly, I'd let Darlow go. And have Keynes as second choice with Mahadi as third choice. And then if we end up getting a goalkeeper crisis later on in the season, then just get a loan or something. Loan a goalkeeper. You can get emergency loans for goalkeepers usually. So at this particular juncture, you've got I'd honestly let go Meslier and Darlow. I'd let Aronson go, JB go, and Pirro. That's 5 players that would all leave at this particular point, and they would have to leave because, as well as this 11 on screen now, you've got Mecha and DCL. The likelihood then is that we'd keep Harrison. So that's pretty much your 25. I'm just trying to work it out now. So in terms of the overall squad, we'd have this 11 on screen now. Then you'd have Keynes. Mahadi wouldn't need to be registered. So that's the other reason as well, right? And Keynes came through the academy, so that again that works in really good favour for Leeds, I think, based on rules. So you'd have, so as well as this 11, in terms of players to be registered, so out of this 25, you'd have this 11, and then you'd have Keynes, Bogle, Roden, Strauch, Byram. So that's 5. You'd then have Dan James, Will Nonto, God, my mind's gone blank here. This is awful. Ampadu, Tanaka, and Gruev. So that's 10. And then the 11th, you've got an 11th player in Harrison. There's no other backup strikers at that point. Well, your other strikers are your Metro and your DCL. So I think that'd pretty much make up your 25. So that's where it's at. There's a lot of work to be done in a short space of time that's remaining here, folks. A lot of work that needs to be done. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I mean, just out of interest, I'll just casually do this on the screen now. I'll just pop this in. It won't take long. Because what I'm thinking here is, I probably should have just done this now instead of trying to guess the bloody, well, not guess the lineup, but try and figure it out. So Alex Keynes would be backup goalie, and then Mahady would be, we don't have to register Mahady. Then Jaden Bogle, and then Joe Roden, and then Pascal Strout, and then Sam Byram. Bearing in mind, Byram didn't even get on the bloody bench last match. So right wing Dan James, left wing Nonto, alt midfielders would be some kind of combination of, I mean, just for the sake of argument, we'll put I don't know. We'll put him there. We'll put him there. I mean, again, this is just for, this is just to kind of outline where we'll be at. So we've got, as things stand, so ignore the position that this player is being put in here. Right? This is obviously not where we would play him. Alright? Obviously not. Alright, so I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just see if I can, if I move this across, is this, oh, that didn't kind of work how I'd hoped, but okay, we can change that. So you've got the 11 currently on screen, folks. This would be the potential new lineup, right? And then That's still not bloody right. Hold on. Where is he then? Oh, that one. Right. Ignore certain things for a moment, folks. This is the beauty of technology. It's great, isn't it? Alright, to do that, oops. Yeah, this won't take long. I always get this situation when you do either a live stream or you do a recorded video. You just know that. So I don't do any editing or anything like that. You know, that's not my gig. Oops. Yeah, that'll do. And then that. Right, so ignore the striker, folks, in the sense of the position. Okay? So that then is basically what would be left of last season's squad. Right? So you've got the new 11 that was on screen a minute ago. You've then got these, which is another 22. And then you've got 23 and 24, which is Nemecha and DCL. And then at that point, you've even got a 25th option there, because we've ditched Darlow. Now you can either keep Darlow and keep him registered at that point, or you can ditch Darlow and you can put Aronson back in. Now weirdly, I think I've missed a player here, because I could have sworn I'd done the maths and, well, we were thinking of ditching Pirro, weren't we? That's why. Yeah. Obviously there was Pirro from last season. Because again, I like, if we bring in a brand new striker, I don't think Pirro stays at that point. And as I say, the club's got to balance the books as well, and stick within the PSR. So if this 11, if this 11 on screen now is basically 11 from last season, there or thereabouts, right? You've got the 11 new signings that were on screen a moment ago. That's 22 players. DCL is 23. Mitch is 24. And so 25th then, if the 25th player then, you'd either keep Pirro if he's willing to be backup, or you keep Aronson if he's willing to be a backup. So that's where it's at right now, folks. In my opinion, that's the situation. Now, whether we get in, whether we get in 3 more new signings remains to be seen. But I think something has to be done. We definitely need some more quality up front. Now, as I say, ignore where I've put Harrison. I just can't put him anywhere else. I physically cannot put him anywhere else on the screen right now. So I'd have to, just by default, had to put him up there. Ironically, James has played as a striker under Bielsa, so I could have done that. Maybe put Nonto on the right and put Harrison on the left, but don't worry about the positions. The positions of the players is not important on this video, on this particular part of the video. But that's how the squad would potentially look, folks. There are 22 new ones, these 11, and then Mecha and... So Mecha DCL, and that. So it's a toss-up really between Pirro and Aronson and Darlow and Harrison. I think those are the questionable ones that it's not too sure right now as to who's still going to be at Leeds after this transfer window in terms of that little group. So there we go. Anyway, we're up to 40 minutes of me waffling, right? Okay, we'll leave it there, folks. But that's my take on what could potentially happen over the next 24 hours, folks. It's going to be a busy time for Leeds United. There's going to be players coming in. There has to be. If no more players come in, I am really concerned at this particular point. I really am. I mean, one other player, and I'm just going to quickly check now. Because what I want to do is I want to see I want to see how long his injury is. Because I think it was estimated at around October time. So Calvin Phillips has got an Achilles tendon problem. It says return unknown. So that doesn't help one bloody bit, does it? Because again, a possible loan for Calvin Phillips would be another option, especially in terms of Leeds saving a little bit of money on a transfer fee. But yeah, there we go. Right, so there we have it, folks. What I'll do is I'll do a review of the entire transfer window once the window shuts. So keep an eye out for that one. I'll have a look at all the players that Leeds have bought or brought in. I'll have a look at all the players that have left Leeds by that point over the summer, and I'll give my opinion on where the squad is at, in terms of strength, depth, quality, experience, all that kind of thing. So in the meantime, big thank you for watching. Do please give the video a like, do please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.